Hey everybody, thank you for joining me this afternoon. This is Big Chonis. Remember, you guys can find me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis, and you can obviously find me on YouTube, where I am right now. It's kind of a rainy Friday here where I am stationed, so I wanted to kind of talk about Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and we can look at some longs and shorts, and then we can also go into a lot of altcoins that we definitely see, a decent amount of action in for sure. So let's talk about Bitcoin here, and then we'll kind of just blast through the big ones and do some alts. So I'm looking at let's kind of zoom in here, see what our most recent price action is like. We get rid of this guy for a second and get rid of this guy for a second. So this morning we had a really nice spike up here, in the price. And every time we have these bull spikes, they just fade. I mean, how many wicks have we constantly seen, here and here and here and here? And what that keeps telling me is that all these nice bullish moves, they're getting sold into. Profit is being taken here, and that's what you would expect in a healthy market here. It's a very tight market right now, so wherever profit can be made in these short little flips here, if you scooped up some Bitcoin at 64.50 and you sold it at 65.50, and then maybe you got a little more up here. I mean, $100 here, $100 there definitely adds up. So these are quick little flip trades here. And on the short term time frame, we basically have our morning low here. We spiked up, and now we are clearly holding above over here, where we were yesterday at around 65.50 area there. So we're kind of holding this small higher low in a short time frame after this morning's bottom. But we're still not seeing the volume we want to see. And if you've been following me on Twitter, I've been constantly bringing up this overall, I'll call it a bull channel. Let me go to the hourly here. This bull channel I've been watching for quite some time, and I'm just going to hide my Bollingers for a moment here. Now, I want to tell you guys why I see it as this channel here, and even allotting for the break of it here. The way I basically set my this channel here is I find where our bottom was, which was back on June 23rd, 24th, and I basically find our nearest top from our nearest bottom. So here's our nearest bottom, here's the nearest top. So from there, I set my parallel channel. And that literally has played out on the upper side, boom, one, two, boom, can't break through, can't break through, can't break through. So I'm pretty confident on my upper channel resistance here. In terms of my lower channel resistance, I have to factor in our bottom here. So how am I okay with this here? Because it broke our channel, and doesn't that negate our channel? And the reason I feel it doesn't is because this was actually a trap. This was actually a short trap, where this was our channel, it broke through, and then basically short started to load up. And what actually happened was right here, we put in a higher low than our bottom, just barely. And this was kind of our end of our wave two here. And that basically caught the shorts off guard, because when that held with this really nice long wick there, and on an hourly chart here, that's something you want to see. Let me hide my volume, you can see it better. Right there, that's a nice, oops, right there. Really nice bottoming hammer there. Or at least really nice hammer candle. I shouldn't say bottoming hammer, but definitely a nice hammer there that basically showed the price went down pretty significant, and then all of that got bought up. And that was it. That was basically the key that this was going to start to rise. We had a little taste there, and then boom, and of course we topped off at our top channel. So that's kind of why I feel this channel is still pretty accurate. And what we're seeing here is the middle channel support is acting as very strong resistance, unable, other than more than a wick, the price was able to basically, get above there. And until we're able to break our middle channel support here, which has now become very strong resistance, we can't even talk about, testing these higher ranges here, 68, 69, maybe even 7,000, if this run can continue. without being able to break this, there's a good chance we're going to test our lower trend support. So, a methodical trickle down would be somewhere around 64.50. Again, it's only $100 here. I'm talking about, this is not a lot of money here. Even if touching down here, it's not a big epic move. We're still in these couple $100 of channeling here. But if we dig it down here, I want to see it hold. I want to see it bounce. I want to see a big bounce. Touch, boom. Maybe a wick breaks it, little trap area, and then boom. But that's what the bulls want to see if we are able to get down there. If not, if we're actually kind of just hover around and try and retest our middle channel support and break through, that's obviously a very much more stronger bullish signal in the market now. But the volume is still skeptical. You know, so that's Bitcoin. Let's talk about Litecoin, little brother Litecoin. Did I have another chart? Yeah, this one. That's better. Okay. So I did tweet this morning, and this was basically another example of the channel where I set the bottom here. I set the nearest top, which is here, and now we go up. And this is our channel, and you see how the top, once again, was touched perfectly with a wick here. You'd see how our bottom channel support, boom, was broken yesterday, and it broke, and then it tried to get back into it. And this is what you want to see. This is another confirmation for me that this channel is important, because you see the price right here try to get back up to it and was pretty firmly rejected here, just a little teeny wick there, and then boom, really strong rejection there. Try to get up again this morning and couldn't even get to the line even. Let me just bring this a little higher here so you can see. So you see now where our resistance line is. It tried to get up to test 64.50 area, couldn't do it. So this is going to be what you're looking for if you see a bull move here. Because if we get over this line here, maybe we test it for support, maybe it holds. Now we can start talking about back in the higher 80s, breaking 90, which it basically, was unable to break through there, maybe even higher. But this lower support, which is now very strong resistance. So these are things you want to keep an eye on. Also, our fib level here, let me pull this out a little wider so you can see right there. So we basically held right around the 0.5. We were able to get back over the 3.8 there. Is that accurate? Right, 72.25 and 90. Yeah. So we're basically finding resistance now as well at the 0.38, which is now acting as a barrier to try and get above. We can't. So right now we're kind of trapped between the 0.5 and the 0.38, 382. We break the 0.5, then $79, which is right about 618, is probably your next step there. Also coinciding with this history cluster here, somewhere right around there. And obviously it's your kind of logical $80, plus or minus a few cents there, So, we're looking at $80 pretty much as our next test level to see if we can break. And frankly, probably a little lower. I definitely feel like 79. If we break 80, we're going to break 80 with probably a decent amount of conviction. So 79 to as low as like right here, like 77, but our 0.86 is at 76 here. So, in reality, this bull move, can still hold, even if we were able to break down even lower down into here. And remember, when Bitcoin did its kind of wave bottom, or its wave to bottom out here, it only held that higher low by by like $20, So as long as we kind of still hold that higher low uptrend on Litecoin, from down here, from our 72, 73, 74 area. Hey guys, are we back now? I think I just got struck by lightning. There we go. All right, sorry about that. Just had a crazy power surge and everything went dark. But now we are back. Yeah, we good here? Okay. All right, we're good here. That was weird. That was weird. Always use surge protectors to protect your equipment there. That I believe just saved my entire setup here. Okay, so we're talking about Litecoin, and yeah, it's a little bearish right now. So we'll keep an eye on that, and look at Ethereum, and then we'll take your alt request. Now, I was actually playing around with our channel here, and let's do some of this here. So here's our low. We had back around what, $407, right? And then here was basically our nearest high right there and there. So, generally I'd want to do that as kind of like this is our channel. And so you see how our nearest low and our nearest high, we were able to find support in the middle channel. We broke above our channel, quite bullish move there. And that was like showed an actual more bullishness in Ethereum than we actually saw in Bitcoin when it did its move here. So that little zone there, you can show a little FOMO, almost bull trap area, because sure enough it came down and then it tried to retest and actually broke up again with just a wick. But now our upper resistance line is strong, could not break above. Once again, could not break above, found some support once it did break the middle channel. This is kind of where we're rising here. So Ether is the most bullish of Bitcoin and Litecoin since we've seen in terms of its channel move here, which basically could potentially put a lower channel test somewhere in play. And where is that? I mean, at the worst case here, that's somewhere down here in your 430s area, which also, interesting enough, coincides about right here with our previous. There's a lot of history in this area here, the 425, 430 area there. So, if we are breaking bearish, eventually this is an area where I'd want to see kind of your last gasp bounce, if you want to see that kind of move there. So and would still be a bullish play unless really this 425 area broke. If that started to break, then this could definitely, this whole recent current uptrend here could definitely be a little scary here and potentially out of play. But as long as we can hold our middle channel here, retest our upper resistance, and potentially break it, then we could possibly start talking about an uptrend. I want to bring in one more thing about Ethereum, and I'm kind of bring up our our monthly chart here. And the reason I want to bring this up, I want to get rid of all my indicators and I want to get rid of my volume for a second here. Okay, so I mean, this is an example of an insane parabolic move here, where we have basically beginning of 2017, Ether's at $4. That's $4, not 400, not 1200, not 1400, where it actually peaked out at, but $4. So you could have, I mean, your trader that maybe has a $5,000 to $10,000 trading account, could have had hundreds, even like a couple thousand. Ethereum back then, just kind of put in his wallet or her wallet, stored it away. And then that $4 basically became, $1,400 in like a year's time, So the parabolic move of that is so insane. We're at $4. If you 10x that, okay, you'd be at $40. And then if you 10x that, you'd be at $400. So that's 1,000x. From $4 to $400, and then you basically tripled that, almost quadrupled that. So we're talking about 5, 10, 50, 60, 70, 80,000% move here. And the reason I keep bringing this up is about these moves have to unwind in ways that you can't believe. So if been to $4, been to $1,400, it's so hard to think that this is going to come down, that much lower. But this Ethereum, I mean, I just see in the long term for this to really bottom out. We're talking about, significant more declines yet to come. And because Ethereum was the last of the big boys to peak after Bitcoin, after Litecoin, this was kind of one of the alt runners that happened. It's behind Bitcoin in terms of its bearishness, where it's kind of like 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a month or so behind Bitcoin's current bearishness now, which means that, at 467.59, where you are right now, you could have situations where we're back in the threes and back in the twos and whatnot. So I just want to point out on the monthly, the 21 EMA, interesting enough, is at $340 in criming. We also see around 350 here, a couple, that didn't work. We have some nice areas here of history, a double candle bottom here at 350 and 350. So, that 350 area, which is about $120 less than where we are currently, has shown a very strong area. Does that 350 area in Ethereum, does that correspond with kind of where we are now in that $6,000 area with Bitcoin, where we've kind of been like testing it, for the third time, for the fourth time? We haven't gotten that far yet with Ethereum yet. So something to keep an eye on. Okay, all right, so let's do some alts. Let me check out the chat room here. It's great to have everybody here in the chat. Give me 1 second here to kind of catch up and see what people are looking for. And a sip of my drink. Okay, so let's do some Ethereum Classic. We'll do some ZRX for sure. Hello from Moscow. We'll do some TRX for sure, and whatever else you guys want to do. So let's start with ETC here. And where are we? ETC. Okay. Oh, actually, I want to go to my other ETC chart because that is boom. Boom. Okay. Oh, good day today. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I have the monthly up, so why don't we start with our monthly here? You can see where we started. This was kind of the intro wick on Bittrex. I know other exchanges have slightly different volumes, but very similar in terms of their candles. Here is our nice parabolic move. Basically, we came down here most of the way, but not all the way. And then we've kind of been in this kind of pattern here. And then this green candle here last month in June was our big announcement from Coinbase saying they will be adding Ethereum Classic sometime probably towards the end of the summer. So because of that, I set up this triangle I was looking at as kind of a confluence of support of a top resistance line here. Let me get rid of that and make this a little more accurate. That's better. And I was using this bottom and this bottom here to set this angle. And because of that, I was able to ascertain, let me get rid of this guy here, that this was kind of our triangle apex here. And if our price was able to break out of this line here, because I didn't have a previous resistance or another second area to find the triangle, so by extending this bottom line out, using our top here as our angle 1, I just connect the two, and this is our triangle I'm watching here. And you see I'm on the 4-hour chart here. We broke through. Now, we tried to once, we failed. We tried to again, and look how beautiful that touch was right there. Let me just get rid of that. No, I want to erase you. There we go. We touched it just on the nose there, on this wick here, and this was kind of that first attempt. And you knew, okay, we tested, we failed it. There's going to be a little dip fake out, which there was right here, about, a day later, and then that held, bought into, and then boom. So now we have broken through bullishly, pretty nicely too, our long triangle here that has been kind of set up for since December. And then we see this wick here. This is the announcement news. So it happened way overbought, too fast, too soon. You'll look at our RSI on that, and you see how you can see like that there. So you can see right here how quickly our RSI shot up there. That's better. How quickly our RSI shot up, kind of regrouped, cooled off, rose again, much too high here, double top here, where we were here, cooled off. Didn't get too low though, because the bullishness of this is still pretty pronounced, and kept putting it higher low, higher low, higher low, and now finally we are breaking through here. So we see strong OBV. We see a decent high, but kind of I don't know. It's, the stock RSI is very subjective to price changes here. We do have a bull cross currently on the 4-hour chart, showing the bulls definitely still have control. We have been up here though, for a couple days now, and you can see on the stock RSI, we can definitely be up here for several days, but after a few days here, the reset, definitely starts to kick in, and now we see our RSI, once again on the 4-hour poking through, this kind of area here of overboughtness. We've seen where we have broken through twice, broken down twice. So, we broke up, we came down, we're back into it here. So this is bullish, but once again, we're in an area here where people tend to take profit in the RSI area and stuff from there. So, this is still bullish, and long term here, I want to specify that you have to be bullish on Ethereum Classic. I don't care what the fundamentals are. I don't care, it's copy of Ethereum. It is being invited to the big boys table when Coinbase decides to add it. And when it does, you're going to see some crazy volatility, because remember, Litecoin's been the cheap one on Coinbase. Litecoin has been the most affordable, where if you're a new trader, maybe only have a few $100s in your account, you could have bought 6, 8, 10 Litecoin. You could have bought like half a Bitcoin maybe, or a few Ethereum, and now you kind of basically have a coin whose USD is like $17 right now. So the just from a pure price point standpoint, there's a lot of bullishness behind it. Not to discount the fact that just the overall exposure that Coinbase will bring will be pretty immense, and it'll be short-lived in the sense where there'll be definitely a big rush, a huge spike, probably a little too much FOMO, and then you kind of have to decide, how much profit you want to take in that one, and whatnot. As well as you'll be able to basically see the pump in Ethereum Classic, across the board. It won't be just with the access to it in Coinbase, but all the other exchanges will follow in suit with that. So we're definitely seeing what's going to happen with that when it does. But for now, the bullish trend is intact, and maybe we now have to come back and test this line. I would like to see that. That's one of those things you want to see that shows, oh, we basically held this line from pretty strong resistance is now very strong support, because we came back and we tested it and it bounced and held, and we can move higher. So I'll keep an eye out for that. Okay, let's go to ZRX. Okay, so let's just take a look here, and I want to bring up the weekly because it tells a really good story of where we started. We came down, we bottomed about 1200 or so. We had our parabolic move where we went from roughly 1,000 Satoshi to almost 20,000 Satoshi in a month. Your classic 20 bagger, if you will. And we had our unwind from that. And what kind of an unwind was that? Let's take my fib, which happens to be here, top to bottom, and look at that. We found excellent support, kind of right where we wanted to find it, somewhere around your 0.786 fib level, which even this month and even consistently, we're seeing a lot of that 0.786 be strong supports. when a lot of these coins have pulled back in nice bounce areas. So we had a nice bounce there, boom, broke through all-time high. Now remember, a lot of this was the anticipation that ZRX and not Ethereum Classic was going to be the next coin that Coinbase was going to um, invite to the table. And as soon as that announcement came that it was Ethereum Classic and not ZRX that was invited to the prom, you basically had our dump there. So I'm going to redo my fib based on a higher line now, which we now topped out at 21.9. That is now our all-time high. We have our retracement here. So the last time we retraced to the 0.886. Right now we haven't even gotten close to the 618 yet. And we had this very nice reversal here in our price action, bull, and then these are the weeklies here. So just back to back, just killer weeks here. Remember though, we have 2 more days left in the week. Have a decent wick forming here on our weekly. It's bullish candle with a little bearish wick forming here. So we want to see this close strong. If we give up a lot of this weekly gains in the next 2 days and put in a really long wick on this candle, maybe we close under our 0.38, that'd be a bearish sign there, because now our 0.38 would 0.382 would basically be our new line of resistance. We're not there yet though. The bulls basically have 2 days to kind of keep this nice bullish candle intact and kind of see how they can go higher here. We talk a lot about equilibriums, and we have overextended, oversold, overextended, oversold, but we're finding an equilibrium. This one feels just too quick almost. It just feels really bullish, especially this week. And maybe it's there. Maybe that bullishness is there. We're going to go another week of just keep going higher. But I just feeling like it wants to probably turn around again and kind of consolidate from these past 2 weeks of really strong gains. Also keep in mind our long-term trend line here has not been touched yet in this area here. So, if we were to correct, we still could correct down. But remember, we're still holding a significant higher highs here. So this coin is still very bullish long term. You can definitely play these overbought areas and buy these oversold areas, as we keep finding some equilibrium there. So that's a little ZRX for you. So we did that. What else was I going to do? Oh, yeah, Tron, TRX. Interesting. Okay, I haven't looked at this one in a while. I'm going to still keep our weekly chart up here because we see how our long-term support, which was started here, tested here, and is now broken. And not only is it broken, but it tried to get back to it to test it, and even when that wick there, it couldn't. So we're still seeing, continued bearishness with Tron. I'm going to reinstate my volume here and my Bollinger Bands. The reason I bring my Bollinger Bands up here is because on a weekly time frame, these Bollinger Bands are really wide. This is our bottom one here, and this is our top one here. We want these to contract. We want these to get tighter. Tighter Bollinger Bands allow for longer term moves here. Because these are so wide, we kind of bounce it around probably with a more bearish tendency until the top one can start to curve lower. Let's go to our daily chart. And see, we had these 2 wicks here, kind of little tweeze at top there, continued bearishness, indecision doji, our volume, so I'm on the Binance here, so this is pretty accurate volume here. It's reds, just people still keep unloading here. Let's do a fib from, so we'll do a fib from here. That was our top. Okay, oops. And let's clean this up here. So we're kind of racing down to our 786, which is currently around 470 Satoshi there. You can see how our 618, look at that, coincided perfectly with the closing candles of our wicks here. So our 618 is showing this really strong resistance. So yeah, I would definitely think that our 786 at 470 area Satoshi is probably in play. Let me clean up that a bit, and let's put a trend line and try and see what else is in that area there. And yeah, we got a lot of history right there. So we're currently at 540 or so. There's really not much to suggest this kind of downtrend is ending. We have our I'd say that's decent there. Let me make that a little brighter. Let's go down to the 4-hour, and we'll do that there. And let me pull off my auto so I can go a little higher here. And yeah, so look at this line has just been unable to break. Try to get out, little wick, firm rejection with a complete kind of capitulation here. So, we're finding a little stability in this area here. I'm going to go down to our 1 hour, and let's get a little analysis on what kind of a pattern we have going here. So, clearly here's our dump there. Are we flagging here? Are we putting in some sort of a? I know I can copy that easier there, like that. It doesn't. Maybe it was this and it broke. Yeah, I mean maybe it's a bear flag and it broke. Let me see. Is there another way to look at this? Maybe we could do. Oh, maybe it's. Oh, you know what? It could be an ascending. No, because that's too low there. Maybe something like that there. I don't know. This one's tricky here because that dip there kind of screwing up my chart. Either way, we're still pretty bearish here, as we can see. And I'm still calling for lower prices here. And Tron has its own issues with its own, network it's trying to create and what have you. But I understand it's a cult coin, and people that are into Tron are also into let's call it its cousin, Verge. So let's look at some XVG. Who requested that? Jin Lee. Thanks, Jin. Thanks for tuning in today, buddy. Okay, so Verge. So I want to start in the weekly. It's very important to get these larger time frame understandings because this gives you just so much more perspective. You see where we bottomed here, 50 Satoshi. You see the insane. This is our weekly here. So 2 weeks went from 50 Satoshi to 2,000 Satoshi. I mean, what? I got to see what kind of percentage this is. This is nuts. Price range. Boom. Boom. Okay, so that 4,000% in two weeks. 2 weeks. It's an insane move there. So we had our pullback, and let's see, where did we pull back to? Take a guess. We actually broke the point. Let me get rid of this guy here. We actually broke the 786. Came back, broke above, there it is, tested it for support, and it held, and that gave us our nice second little bull run here. But now we're back literally to 0 point here, because if we take our fib from our latest bottom and our latest top, we are basically seeing that we're getting close down to back to our starting point, which was right at 325 Satoshi. So we're getting close now to a retest of our historic bottoming area here, which also coincides with when it first ICO'd. The end of the week, beginning of the week of this super parabolic move, our bottom area here, and now back here. And currently on our weekly, we have, is that a bearish engulfing? So we closed at 392. We're at 369 here. So it's not such a bearish engulfing yet, but it's still not a very good wick there. either. We'll go to the daily chart here. We see our two, pretty strong rejection rips up here in the higher 400 Satoshi area here. We're finding a little support there on our EMA. We're seeing a bearish cross of our stock, and we're not seeing any good momentum here on our RSI. We can clearly see that this firm rejection coincides with other historic areas of rejection here. So, right now this RSI is telling us that this is just weak. It's just weak right now. We're not able to get above 44 on the RSI. Remember, the RSI is relative strength index. It shows kind of the oomph, the bullishness of a move or the bearishness of a move. And granted, we were pretty oversold here. They were in a daily chart. The higher in your time frame you go, the more significant the move can be. So Verge, like Tron, is definitely still in this bearish tendency. I'll do a couple more here, guys. Once again, I really appreciate you guys joining me. Remember, I'm just I'm a guy who likes looking at charts. I looked at charts for many years now, and I've been in crypto several years now, and I'm hooked. Crypto and Bitcoin had me at hello, so here I am. I'm here to stay, and I love doing this technical analysis and putting these ideas on Twitter. Remember, you guys can follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis. Okay, so let's get back to it. There we go. We were going to do Ripple. I had a request for Ripple, and Ripple is XRP. WXRP in Cincinnati. Okay, so we have Ripple. Now let's start with our RSI, right? Let's see where our RSI is here. And yikes. So we are once again testing my patience. We are once again testing our lower RSI 30 kind of place you don't want to end on. Super bearish here. Once again, testing at 30 as support. We can barely get our head above 36 when we do have a bounce area here. Maybe this is some sort of a triple bottom 30 area here, but the RSI looks pretty crappy right now. The daily chart, and I'm just going to zoom out here, you do definitely see a leveling, but these last two candles here are just ugly, because we had a double wick bottom support here, which was very encouraging. Remember, I'm on the daily chart here. Then we had this nasty shooting star here, and I would totally call this a shooting star candle about 4 days ago. And that is just kind of turned this whole market back around here with a pretty firm rejection here. We're still above the lower Bollinger on the daily, which suggests we can go lower until we actually test it as support. We have ridden the lower Bollinger kind of all the way down here. We were rejected by our purple. There we go. This purple line here is our middle Bollinger. And look how to the T that wick hit there. So right now my Bollinger is showing me exactly where our resistance is and where our support is currently on Ripple. If this continues to keep on the same trend, the trend is down here. Now let's take a look. Let's do a little fib here. Let's go way back to our nut bottom here, to our nut top here, and we are in this zone below the 618. You can see how we broke it. We came back up, broke it again, just got our head above it and failed. So, the 0.76 probably in play, and that corresponds with a very interesting point right about here. You see how we had our little first parabolic move, had a pretty strong rejection close right at 5,300 Satoshi and change there. that does correspond with our 786 area here as well, closing in on that 5,000 Satoshi area. And frankly, folks, that's where I think Ripple is headed next. A lot of controversy about this coin. There's a lot of coin out there and a lot of coin privately held that hasn't been put on the market yet. So, and there's also the thing that you don't actually need Ripple or the XRP token to actually run the actual platform. There's basically there's really a need for it as this thing though. So let me see here. I'll do Neo. That's a good one there. Volume profile, order flow indicators in trading view. So we have Neo. Isn't Neo like the Chinese Ethereum? Isn't that what they call it? Where are you, Neo? There you are. I know you're right in front of me. Oh, that's Neo's. That's Neo. There we go. Okay. Interesting. So daily, I have not looked this in a while here. I first want to point out this beautiful green cluster here of buying here. Really strong. We saw a little of that here, but we haven't seen that many days in a row of just green candles, since back here. So that's very encouraging here. We have a long wick, a second attempt, a spinning top here, and that was what led to our today current nasty red pullback here. This was going to happen. This was a indecision doji with a double wick here. So this pullback was inevitable. Probably a good time to go short on this thing here. But we're seeing this is a very strong move here. We have all of our EMAs way above us. Now they're kind of cratering to come back below, and hopefully at some point we'll catch this price and act as supports rather than all these resistances that it will be testing if Neo can go higher. We have a decent uptick in our OBV, but nothing crazy. And of course, we have a bearish cross now. Let me get these a little more wider. That's better. A bearish cross on our stock RSI here. And, we see what happens when we top off up here. Boom. We come down, top off up here. Boom. So even with this red candle, we're just beginning our top off here. We're just beginning our RSI rejection area here. Nice move. We were way oversold. 17 on the RSI on a daily is very oversold. Great recovery here. How much of this though was kind of too oversold? Is that a possibility? So that move that we just saw over the past several days was beautiful, but may have been a little too ahead of itself. Where do I want to see support? I mean, frankly, I kind of wanted to see it right here. I wanted to see this peak be tested. Maybe it can come up. I'm on the daily here. So I want to see this daily close above this line here. If not, then I'm seeing this line on the RSI is going to act as your next kind of resistance level you're going to want to break. So, okay, let me just check the chat out real quick here. Once again, thanks guys for sticking with me here and through my slight power outage. All right, Komodo. I will do Komodo, and that will be the last one for today. KMD. Boom. Not too familiar with this one. Let's see here, daily. Okay, interesting. The very first thing, what do I want to do here? See, I would fib it, but it doesn't make much sense because you can see we're clearly back to like almost our starting point here where we bottomed. You could argue this is our higher low. We ICO'd, we bottomed here around 17. Ish Satoshi area, had our parabolic move, and now we are back 2,500 Satoshi area. So yeah, you could argue we are putting in a higher low at a roughly 2% 2% angle here. Very nice. So yeah, I mean that's kind of a little bit of a bullishness there. But I mean, so we're kind of starting from ground zero there. And with these newer coins here, this could be back into an area of market discovery, market price discovery. And what I mean by that is very short market price discovery here. It ICO'd literally at the perfect point for the alt pump of December and January. Um, and now, because we're back to this area here, if we are unable to hold, especially 1820, if the price does get back there, that's really bearish, because that basically puts so much more undiscovered price country, yet to be in play for this coin here. So do not break, 1800 area if you are Komodo coin. Let's hold here at 2500. And then let's start to retest, some of our upper channels here. Looks like the Bollinger is definitely in the middle. Bollinger, let me auto again. There we go. So on the 4-hour, we broke our Bollinger bottom. We were able to get above the middle. And hold it for 2 candles here, and that's actually very encouraging there. So I am looking for a retest right about here of 25, let's say 26, which will basically be our upper Bollinger area there. So we're seeing finally a little bullishness. We're also seeing, I'm going to remove that there, and let's get our little trend angle once again, and you kind of see that we have a 9% incline, higher low here on our second kind of attempt there. So that's bullish too. So we're seeing a little bullishness in a pretty beat up altcoin currently here. So definitely something to keep an eye on in terms of a risk versus reward standpoint. You are in an area here which you would want to see a bounce and continuation, but I would keep, a stop basically, tight, because if this breaks our overall support, especially where we bottomed before, then a lot of running room is left to go in the low there. So let me just go back to Bitcoin, take a really quick see where we're at, and then I will call it an afternoon because I'm hungry and I want to eat some lunch. So still basically in our sideways pattern here. Middle channel still acting as strong resistance. Little cool off in the RSI. We have a slight bullish uptick, ever so slight, in our stock RSI, trying to make a little move here. You have to basically acknowledge that we're holding over 6,500, and that's pretty good. So from a weekly standpoint, go to this one. I want to hold over $6,500. That'd be very encouraging. Currently, our weekly candle here, slight bearishness there. We do have a little bottom wick, but we have a much bigger top wick there. So, the bulls have a couple more days to make this candle a lot more greener. The bears have a couple more days to make this candle a lot more bearish with a longer upper wick. So we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, everybody, for being here with me. I'm going to put other charts out on some of the trading view tools and indicators I use. I use a bunch, and I don't use them all for the same coins, and I use them all at certain times depending upon what markets we're in, because I find some work better than others in certain times as well. So I'll definitely go over some of that. Until then, the balcony is closed. We'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Talk to you soon.